So SmackDown started this week by determining who was going to be a number one contender for the Raw Championship. Sorry about that. I fell over, and when I was on the floor, look, I found a lovely cloud friend. Who thought the show was going to start like that? Otherwise though, hello my friends, and welcome to another episode of Ups and Downs with me, Simon Miller, and we did just have an episode of SmackDown, so we have to decide whether it was good or whether it was a pile of pants. People always think a pile of pants is a bad thing. No, it's not. It just means you got a lot of pants. Let's up those downs. But yeah, much like Monday, we did have two triple threat matches to determine who was going to face Seth Rollins at Night of Champions. The first one was Edge versus Rey Mysterio versus AJ Styles, and it was flubbing terrific. Edge had also stirred up a storm on social media over the last couple of days because he did this amazing promo where he was all like, well, that brand new World Heavyweight Championship looks a lot like the one that I lost when I was forced to retire, so maybe I should go and win it, and then when I lose it this time, I can walk away from wrestling properly. Now, this was never going to happen, otherwise they would have done it on the show, but bravo to that guy, he got me all plugged in. AJ and Rey were already in the ring to begin SmackDown too, and I think because Edge got an entrance, they were really annoyed by this, because as soon as he was in the squared circle, they just started to beat him up like, oh man, you gotta have your Alter Bridge stuff, do you? Or we're gonna screw you up. It didn't last long, as eventually we got into the three-way madness, and I'm telling you, not only did they get a terrific amount of time, but these three individuals are just damn good at the old pro wrestling. And sure, there were a few missteps here and there, but you do know they're human, right? They're not some weird wrestling aliens that have been sent to this planet, and they're perfect at what they do. There's only one man who's able to do that, and his name is Repo Man. There was also this ridiculous tilt-a-whirl backbreaker by AJ Styles onto Rey that looked like it killed him. And I think Mysterio must have realised that, because he then tried to do a big old flying thing at Edge, who caught him in midair and just slammed him down. I was like, man, Daddy Rey, you are not having a good evening. He finally did get a Canadian Destroyer in there, as Michael Cole reminded us that he's the best big man, little man ever. Every time he says that, I think about it, I'm like, no, doesn't make any sense. It's 2 + 2 = potato. This is also when the Rated R superstar speared both men from the apron to the outside. I was like, bravo, gentlemen, bravo. Rey's night then got worse because he was locked in the calf crusher and the crossface at the same time, as the commentators freaked out going, oh, well, if he does tap out, who the hell is going to win? Because it is WWE. I was like, man, I bet they are going to do something like that. They didn't. We then got to the part where you just build, go, move, and we got this sunset flip suplex thingamajig. And Mysterio got a great near fall off that, and this is when I realised, wait a minute, any one of these three could win, I'd actually totally be fine with it. That's when you've done something right. It all built to the 619, which Rey did hit after he'd already tried to hit it around about 78,962 times. And yeah, this is when Edge looked at Rey Mysterio, and Rey Mysterio looked at Edge, so there was a little bit of miscommunication here, but I don't care. Look, here's all the people going crazy on the internet, pop! Away it goes. What did happen though is that this is when AJ Styles saw an opportunity and he phenomenal forearmed Edge right in the face, and he got the 1, 2, 3, meaning he is now going on to the main event. And I love what AJ does well. There was a time when people used to go, if he gets to WWE, he'll be treated so badly. Well, he's had a pretty damn good career. This rocked up. Turns out somebody in the back just wanted to get this sorted out too, because right after this, it was into our second triple threat match, Bobby Lashley versus Austin Theory versus Sheamus. This also got a huge chunk of time and basically meant the first hour of SmackDown with these two matches, which made them feel so damn important. And as ever, people are going, well, which one was better? The first one was better, but was this one bad? No, it just got me doing the dance of joy. It also kind of figured that Bobby Lashley may win here because Sheamus and Austin Theory are basically treading water. And as soon as Austin had come out there, Sheamus and Bob was like, let's just beat the crap out of him. Now, this was good for two reasons. One, it was funny, but two, it meant we got to big men slapping man meat. All right. Austin was sued back to stop Sheamus from hitting his 10 beats, but this is when he learned a very valuable lesson, because Sheamus was like, all right, well, I won't do it to Bob, I'll do it to you instead. So the lesson here is never try and help anyone. Austin then continued to get murked because Bobby threw him into Rita the ring post, and my word, we're going to talk about her a lot later. And when Sheamus came off the top rope, all of a sudden Lashley grabbed him in the hurt lock. That's pretty good. Somebody must have told Theory because all of a sudden he was there to break that up with a blockbuster. I was like, why are you doing a blockbuster? That's way too over the top. But I suppose he had his working boots on. And it also allowed him to throw Lashley into Simba the Steel Steps. revenge. We did make sure to give Theory a huge kick out, because after Sheamus had hit him with the avalanche white noise, it was 1-2-R, when Austin Theory went for the most devastating move in all sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up. And look, it didn't work here, but I absolutely thought that it could. Lashley then teleported back into the ring where he speared Sheamus, and this is when WWE tried to do their favourite triple threat finish, because Austin Theory was like, ha ha, see ya, Bobby. He threw him out of the ring and he pinned the Irishman, but kind of amazingly, it was 1-2 kick out. Theory had also thrown and bombed into Rita the ring post at this point, so that was 2 for old Rita, but also when Lashley was back, he was bleeding everywhere, and this absolutely pissed him off because he marched back in that ring. He put Austin Theory in the Hurt Lock. That is not the Hurt Lock. Obviously, Sheamus didn't want this, so he broad kicked Austin. This is when Bob was like, wait a minute, I'm just gonna do what that guy tried to do. So he threw Sheamus out the ring and he got the pin. Lashley heading to the finals. So that is 2 for 2, and look, you can just do good wrestling on a wrestling show. I know, what a crazy, crazy concept. Which is when Grayson Waller was on SmackDown. It's about time. He interrupted Adam Pearce, who was on the phone, and he had an idea. On next week's SmackDown, whoever wins between AJ Styles and Bobby Lashley should be on the Grayson Waller effect, which, yes, is his talk show. I don't know why WWE feels the need to have as many talk shows as they do. I guess they just love Ricky Lake. Pearce did agree though, and this must have been the NXT segment, because we went straight from this right into Cameron Grimes. So obviously he was taking on Baron Corbin, and we did set this up last week, and you ain't gonna believe this, it went 5 seconds. Like, how long I've been talking about the match to you was actually longer than the actual match. I said actually a lot. Now, we did give Corbin the microphone before this, and he was able to run Cameron down going, oh, I'm gonna beat you so bad that you're gonna have to go back to NXT. Doesn't actually sound that bad. But then, yeah, the bell rang, Grimes hit the cave-in, 1, 2, 3. I was like, it's basically a squash. There was no follow-up to this either, but here is the deal. This is a great way to get someone over, because if you don't know who Cameron Grimes is, all of a sudden you're gonna be like, well, I better keep an eye on this guy. So I'm gonna give it an up. Also, just imagine that phone call conversation afterwards. Hey mummy, it's Cameron Grimes here. Yes, that's right, NXT superstar. It's a weird thing to call your own son. I just debuted on SmackDown and I won in 5 seconds. Yes, Mum, I love you too. On the flip side of this, though, I don't understand what WWE is doing with Baron Corbin right now. Now, it certainly does feel like maybe we're trying to get him a bunch of sympathy, much like we did with Sad Corbin, and we know he's really good at that. But if it is the case, I just think we need a bit more structure here, and we need a bit more story. Like, the commentators start going, man, that Baron Corbin, he's having a bad old time right now, and let's do a bunch of backstage skits where Baron Corbin is like, oh man, I'm having a bad time right now. Because then eventually he can get back to it, and we can give him some serious edge. I don't mean Adam Copeland, I mean all like grrr and R, but not a pirate. The point is, let's make it more of a story. I'm going to say this till the cows come home. Baron Corbin is really good. He's such a good utility player, but if you are trying to tell a narrative, you have to tell a narrative. Also, did you see that reaction he got in France? Let's not pretend we don't have something with this guy. So I am going to give that a down, but mostly because I want to manifest everything I've just said into existence. We then had a quick video reminding us that Brock Lesnar wants to kill Cody Rhodes, and yet nobody has rung the police, when out came Roman Reigns. Oh boy. Now, it is important to note the entire bloodline was with Roman for the first time, even though he had said to the Usos, you're gonna have to get drafted by yourself. And also, as the internet pointed out, when he was making his entrance and you have all the CGI graphics, he has his thingamajig, but the Usos one has vanished. First thing he talked about as well was that his family is the only wrestling royalty, which was basically pew pew, another shot at Cody Rhodes. But we should probably store that somewhere away in our tum-tum. I don't think he said it by accident. The head of the table then put over Solo Sikoa for his great work at Backlash and even said, hey man, I wasn't sure if you were going to be any good. This was sink or swim for you, and you were able to swim like a fish. Now, he didn't say fish, he said shark, but man, I really wanted him to say fish, because that just would have been funny. He then continued though, because he started to address Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and said they're not the problem anymore, because there's a brand new problem, and they are the Usos. I was like, oh man, these two are gonna be killed. Because Roman then turned to Jimmy and Jay and was all like, oh, there you are. Are we gonna talk about WrestleMania when we lost? Are we gonna talk about when you lost again on SmackDown? And are we gonna talk about the fact that you dedicated a tag team match to me and you still got defeated? Also, why are you dedicating a tag team match to me? I'm not a tag team wrestler, I'm a singles guy. And given that Alpha and Seeker are at the head of the family, well, you should be ashamed of yourselves and you're an embarrassment. He went on to say you didn't even compliment Mama Roman when she made you a nice dinner. That's not true, I made that one up. When he demanded that they apologize. And when they didn't say sorry instantly, Roman got right in Jimmy's face and he started pushing it. Now, at one stage, it looked like Jay was gonna go crazy, but he didn't. He bowed to all this pressure. He was all like, oh, Roman, we're so sorry. He also had a plan because he was like, listen, oh, Tribal Chief, just give us one more shot and I promise we will retrieve those tag team titles. When Roman Reigns gave the microphone to Paul Heyman, and Heyman was like, look, you don't need to do that, because the match for Night of Champions has already been made, and it is going to be KO and Zayn with the tag team titles on the line, but they will be facing Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns. Ah, shit. The head of the table then did indeed dedicate this to the greatest tag team ever, Alpha and Seeker. When he left the ring, the Usos kind of stared at this like they'd just seen a ghost. So this also has set the internet into meltdown because everybody thinks, oh no, Roman Reigns is going to get a bunch more titles, especially because when he was leaving, he looked at the brand new World Heavyweight Championship, and secretly I do want that to happen because I just want chaos, but I don't think that is going to be the deal. I think we will get to the pay-per-view premium live event, and this is when the Usos decide, we are sick of you, Roman Reigns, we are tired of your nonsense, and they screw him over, and then we just segue into that feud instead. If nothing else though, it's super interesting. And that's all I need. I just need to be intrigued and I need to be interested, which I am. Look at me. I'm in my intrigue interest pose, giving it up. However, there is just one thing I need to say. Nobody can walk into my house right now and justify the fact that we have a show called Night of Champions and the WWE Undisputed Universal title isn't being defended. That's like me saying, hey, do you want to come round for lunch? And instead, I just slap you in the face. You're like, man, I'm never coming here for lunch again. I mean, really, you could have done this tag team match on SmackDown and then got to the pay-per-view premium live event, and I don't know, Roman Reigns versus Karrion Kross. I mean, it makes no sense. And of course, Roman would win, but at least that championship would be defended. I mean, that's half the problem when it comes to talking about these world titles. So that's just silly. Turns me into a nerd. Getting it down. Kayla Braxton was then here. She was basically trolling Damage Control. Bayley also compared herself to Roman Reigns because both of them are Grand Slam champions. When she turned to Io Sky and said, well, you could have been a champion too because you took on Bianca Belair at Backlash, but don't worry, I guess you're just not ready. I mean, talk about shots fired. Bayley also made the massive mistake of telling Kayla that SmackDown now belongs to Damage Control. So I guess this is our new feud. The Bloodline versus Bayley's group. I didn't see that coming. Knock, knock, hello. This, of course, was just building up the fact that we were about to get Damage Control versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez for the Women's Tag Team Championships. But before we did get there, the Usos bumped into the LWO, and even the LWO were like, Jimmy and Jay Uso, what a pair of losers. So I actually feel quite sorry for the Usos, and yes, I think that's the point. They're gonna fight next week. So of course it meant it was time for Bayley and Dakota Kai taking on Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan. And I like this because there was a story here, which was of course, can Damage Control stay on the same page? And ultimately the answer was no. They're falling out all over the place. Alpha Fire and Isla Dawn were also watching this from backstage, so you would assume that means something. But I also remember when Shotzi and Tegan Nox were a tag team and that went absolutely nowhere. My favourite part is when Bayley tagged in and straight away Morgan went for the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, but it didn't work. Mostly because it was about to work in 2 minutes. It was Raquel who got the mega hot tag though, because she is a powerhouse. She murked Damage Control with ease. She was smashing everyone all over the place. But when Bales got back in control, she was like, listen, Io Sky, the referee's not looking right now. Go and get that tag team title, and I'm gonna smash somebody right in the face. Before that, we also had Raquel and Liv Morgan using each other as human projectiles, which is a thing, but anyway. When Io Sky tried to use this championship, Raquel stopped her. So Liv went, I'm gonna hit the most devastating move in all the sports entertainment, and she got the 3. I want to be that guy, but when it comes to the women's tag team titles, I do think we're using this maneuver a little bit too much. However, I did like the match, so I am going to give it an up and also bring down the counter. It rolls up again, and my word, we're getting a lot of them. And Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez have to have this finish every single time. And I know I sound like a broken record, but sometimes it is okay to hit your big maneuver, your big move, your big finish, your big signature, and get the 1, 2, 3. Otherwise, it's just a little bit silly. I mean, imagine Roman Reigns used that to win all of his matches. Now that I've said that, it would be amazing, but it also wouldn't work in the same way. If you want to make championships feel like something, which it does feel like WWE is trying to do, this is just the pathway I think you have to walk. It's not a big deal. I'm being a geek again. Sometimes I like being a geek. Look, I'm shadowboxing. Only geeks do that, unless you're a real boxer. Point is, that part's getting it down. I then got flubbing exciting though, because we saw the Brawling Brutes hanging out backstage when they were interrupted by Pretty Deadly. As ever, they were just dressed like absolute goobers, but I love it. And they just ran down these three, and they are genuinely funny. And as long as we can continue to push them in the same way we pushed them in NXT, they are absolutely gonna fly. Eventually they did leave before Ridge Holland and Butch beat them up, and we are gonna get that match next week, and then yeah, the Brawling Brutes walked away, because they were going to have a point. Right after this too, we headed to the ring because Bianca Belair was going to have her big championship celebration, because she is now the longest reigning women's champion of the modern era. And no, nobody knows what that means. It was in our hometown though, so this was really nice and warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum, especially because her family was there. But maybe somebody had told WWE that an asteroid was about to strike Earth and kill everyone, because this was over so damn fast. Because almost instantly Asuka's music hit, she returned to smack her down, and she just wanted to shake Bianca Belair's hand. And I was like, wow, what a nice individual. And as soon as Belair went to do this, Asuka went, and she blew the mist right in her face. And then she basically did a little jig because she was so damn happy. I assume it does mean that when we get to Night of Champions, we are going to do Bianca Belair versus Asuka again. And this is totally fine as long as Asuka wins. Otherwise, why the hell did we just turn her heel, which is absolutely what this was? It would just make her look like an absolute idiot. Oh, I'm a bad guy now. And did it help me? No, it didn't. I also think Belair as the chasing babyface for that championship actually works a little bit better. But please, for the love of everything, let's invest in a feud. Because the biggest problem with Bianca Belair is that she is a wonderful babyface, she is a super duper star, and yet every single program she's in just kind of floats by as if it's nothing. So because I do believe in this, and just because I like Bianca Belair and Asuka so much, I am gonna give it an up. But don't let me down, WWE. Otherwise, you know what I'm gonna do. Moan on the internet. I'm that guy. We also saw Bianca Belair freaking out backstage afterwards, which is what you would do if someone had spat liquid into your face, when it was time for our main event, AJ Styles versus Bobby Lashley. And it was just so good. It also felt really fresh, even if these two have fought together in the past. I don't remember it because I have a stupid brain. And we had maybe an expected, maybe an unexpected story here. But because Bobby had bled so much in the first match, we were able to sell this as, well, there's no way he's 100%. He's got red stuff coming out of his skull. Amazingly too, AJ's plan was, I'm gonna go up to this mountain of a man and chop him. So Bob looked at him like he'd just been told to eat a pizza and floored his ass. Bob then continued to use Rita the ring post, so I swear he must hate her to the bottom of his tootsie toes, when AJ smartened up a bit and was like, look, I know I can slow this man down. I'm gonna work on his legs, and he even applied the calf crusher, because he wanted to crush his calves. He also must have figured out, well, he is a giant person, so I'm sure he worked his quads recently, so this will really hurt. But all of a sudden, Bobby Lashley was bleeding again. So I was like, man, he must have rung up John Moxley for some advice. Bobby then countered one of Styles' move into a suplex, which looked really good. And as soon as he applied the hurt lock, AJ was like, oh my gosh, I've got to get to the ropes, because he's no fool and he gets it. Lashley then tried to use Rita again. I was like, would you leave her alone for goodness sake? Which is when AJ Styles came on with a phenomenal forearm, but he went right into the hurt lock, and I was like, I'm plugged in again, this is good. This then got out of control because Lashley went for the spear. Styles got out the way, which meant Lashley flew into Rita the ring post. And I was on the phone going, can someone please help her? She's just there to try and hold the ring up. But seriously, because this had happened, because he was bleeding, Styles hit the phenomenal forearm, Bobby went down, and he got the 1, 2, 3. And I was like, well, that's fantastic. That's wonderful. It makes AJ Styles look like a proper championship contender, because he just took down Bob. And nobody takes down Bob. He's huge. The OC came out afterwards to celebrate, and it also means at Night of Champions, we've got AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins for the brand new World Heavyweight Championship. And if you're not up for that and you're not excited, I'm just gonna say it, you don't probably actually like wrestling. this is definitely getting it up. As is SmackDown as a whole, because while I've nitpicked a few things just to be that guy today, sometimes it's fun to create carnage. This was a really good episode. Every single match had stakes. WWE should do more of these. Round of applause all round. Seal hand. Now please do make sure you click another video on the screen right now to continue your ups and downs journey or your WhatCulture journey. You don't know what you're going to get. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. My name is Simon for WhatCulture. Thank you very much for joining me as always. I do appreciate you. We'll be back tomorrow to do ups and downs for Rampage, because that show ping, 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 just pings around like nobody's business. I said ping a lot there. You know what? I'm going to go now. Down in my lift. Have a great day. See you soon.